All right, it is 10 o'clock. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this week's edition of the Long Coffee Break. My name is Chris Visconti. I'm a sales engineer on the hydronics and plumbing team here at Long, and we're very excited this morning to have Curtis Wandra with us. Curtis is with the Detection Group, which is a division of Watts, and Curtis is going to talk to us a bit about commercial leak detection and how to protect owners' assets. Curtis, take it away.
Chris, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys taking the time here on your coffee break. I've got my coffee sitting right next to me here, so we'll share our coffee as we move along. We're going to talk about commercial water leak detection, and a lot of people ask me why, right? Why are we doing this? What's the problem? And we've all faced leaks, but the bottom line is FM Global did a study on what their payouts were, and water damage beat out everywhere else, and kind of by a large margin. Water damage is the number one payout for insurers. It's actually larger than fire and theft combined. And as you see, the average commercial claim is $90,000. $90,000 is a lot, and that's just average. Several times we've seen them go into the millions. And we can, there's different ways that we can make it even worse than that $90,000. The big four-letter M word, as well as, leaks happen 24/7, usually on Christmas Eve at 11:30 at night, right? I will argue with that last point that almost every building will have leaks. I'm pretty sure every single building is going to have a leak. So here at TDG and Watts, we developed a system, and we like to think of it. We mentioned that it's more than smoke or fire and theft combined. So we kind of like to see our system as the smoke detector for water. You guys are very familiar with the fact that there's a whole bunch of different fire suppression systems and fire prevention systems that go in a building. So if you kind of think of our solution as that smoke detector for water, it's a little bit easier to wrap our minds about what we're doing. What our core products are is very simply continuity sensors that are placed throughout the building. And these little guys, along with valve controllers, find out where the leaks are and where the water is standing. But in order to do that and communicate across the board, we build, let's call it a mesh. Would be the best way to describe it, with hubs that we see here, and then it all drives to the smart base station. We'll get a little bit into how all those work here a little bit. All that drives the product side, and then we also have a software side of it that brings us to the point of being FM approved. As I'm sure some of you are aware, FM Global has a rigorous process to approve products. We are the only FM approved leak detection, wireless commercial leak detection in the US. And so we have got about, these numbers a little bit old, so we have over 500 buildings installed, protecting about $45 billion in property across the US. There's a reason why people pick us as opposed to some of the other leak detection systems. We'll get into it. Just real quick, I showed you those products, so I thought I'd show you a couple of pictures here. We've got a sensor on the ground here. Nice thing about our sensors too is if you want it to be in 1 inch of water, you can raise that sensor up 1 inch. But this one is actually sitting on the ground, and it's tied to a sensor cable as well. These sensor cables can be up to 100 feet long, so you can protect a base around. This is the air handler here that this is protecting, as well as a lot of full room applications, a lot of different ways to be creative as we start installing these systems. I also mentioned valve controllers. So this is a very common way that we protect systems, very similar to underneath the sink. We've got the sensor at the bottom. This is a combined sensor and valve controller. So it actually drives this valve closed when it detects water under here. Also, again, this is all on the back end. The software has the capability to control whatever valves with whatever sensors. So this could be tied to several different sensors in this room. You can have 100 sensors controlling one valve. You can have 100 valves being controlled by one sensor, or any other different setup that you'd like to do to protect your buildings. So I mentioned the product. Now on the back end, we call our Trident software system. It ties it all together and gives us the power of the Detection Group software and products combined. This is I like this little schematic because it kind of shows a real basic system. I mentioned our sensors of valve controllers sprinkled out throughout the building. They are tied into hubs, not just one hub. We like to connect to 2 or 3 different hubs. This is shown our hub. Let's think of it as a repeater, right? We show that these hubs on every floor kind of depends on your construction, how it's built. Older buildings, typically, we might need them every floor. A lot of times, though, we'll go every other floor, maybe a north location, south location, north location, back and forth. But we're just building that mesh. Now, what makes us different than others is that mesh is not Wi-Fi, It is RF, sub 1000 megahertz frequency. And the reason why we did that is RF can go through walls a lot better. RF, we can stay off of people's Wi-Fi. So we only have one device, only just one, that is connected to our cloud, and that is the smart base station. Not only is just that one connected to our cloud, we have several ways that we do connect it to our cloud. We have 3 different ways. One, we can use cellular. So it's wherever you can get a cell signal is where we can put these smart base stations. We're showing it here in the basement. Don't need to be in the basement. We can put it up at the top floor, wherever we can get a signal. Cellular, we can do wired internet. We can also do wireless. We can also do Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi, we're not huge about, because we all know the challenges that we have in Wi-Fi in our systems here. But the smart base station is tied to our cloud and to our servers, and so it's on our TriNet management portal. We'll go into that a little bit, but we can send you notifications then by email, by text, and we also do calling. We just got rid of fax, so if you saw the fax machine, that's not gonna work for us. But everything else, you can get it by several different ways, and through several different people, just depending on how you set up the dashboard. Quick look at the dashboard here. A lot of different levels that we can go into, but this is just kind of the main one, just to show you how this works. We're only monitoring one building here, but if we have, let's say, a regional director of property management or something that has 5 or 6 buildings that they're responsible for, we can put all the buildings into one dashboard, click here and drive down through each individual building. But this particular one is just one building with 16 floors. It'll give us our total devices, how many we've got. We've just got one smart base station, just one connection to the internet, 14 hubs to build that mesh, 158 sensors throughout that building. So, about 10 sensors per floor in this particular instance. And a couple of valve controllers driving 53 valves. Now you see 27 valve controllers and 53 valves here. That means that, the majority of these valve controllers are driving both hot and cold, probably underneath the sink or something like that. We've got good communication here. We have 0 loss communication, but if something happens to one of these sensors or hubs or smart base station, it will not only list here, but it will send out to the communication tree that we do have a missed connection. Each one of these sensors pings the system on a constant basis. So when we start losing that, we can see that. We let everybody know. An alarm and the communication are a little bit different than an alarm is active water being sensed. So a leak, in other words, right? Or water where it shouldn't be. So if we have an alarm, that means that one of our sensors here, 158 sensors, is sensing water on the ground and hasn't yet been cleared. An alert might be low battery, critical battery, smart base station if we have both cellular connection and wireless internet that has lost Wi-Fi, various things like that. Alarms, though, are water on the ground where they shouldn't be. So we break into the leak insights, and we're using that alarm nomenclature again here. This particular system has had 53 lifetime alarms. Luckily, they haven't had any in the last 30 days. The ART is the average response time in minutes, which means if you saw the pictures of the product there, we have a button on the front. That means that someone has walked up and pushed that button. So they are physically there and they can physically see the leak and the water sitting on the ground there. So that's incredibly important to us. Why are we telling you all this data here? We even have the rooms with most alarms and the locations. These guys, they went a little bit general in their naming, but we encourage people to say 6th floor, north women's restroom, countertop or something like that. Most descriptive as possible so they can see those alarms and go straight there. All of this is what gave us our FM approved stamp, because we can actually then take this data, share it with the insurance people and say, hey, we're on this. These guys need to be a little bit better because they're taking 348 minutes to get to that alarm. But as you can see this over time and trending over time, then you can show the insurance carrier just how valuable that the system is. And we're seeing that a lot now because a lot of the deductibles are going from, now it's $15,000 for everything else, but for leaks, it's $100,000 or something like that. So incredibly powerful dashboard. I could spend hours on it, but we'll keep it brief for today. Some of the alarms and notification customization here. You can kind of do about anything and everything that you want on this particular one. If you see our list here and who's on it and who's not, you can build this a little bit different for the reporting, email, text, and voice. What's reporting, you say? Reporting is whatever you want. You can set up to say, I want to know how many alarms, I want to know how many critical batteries. We do a lot of monthly reports for critical batteries so that the maintenance crew can go in and change all those batteries. Brian here does not want to text. He's not a fan of texting, but so he only wants to report via email and reporting. Voice is the calling tree. These Adam here and Dean wants to get called for it. So in the next tab over, when you're on the system, you can actually change what order they need to be called in. Maybe Dean's first, maybe Adam's first. You can also put vacation mode. You can switch over from, let's say at 6 p.m., you're switching over to the security guys instead of the maintenance guys that are only there from 8 to 5, 8 to 6. A lot of different options. You can make calendars, obviously. What things are notified, what aren't. It's an incredibly powerful tool, and that's what gives us our FM stamped approval, because we have the ability to report out not only in real time, but obviously on a regular basis. We can report. This is kind of what a notification looks like. Very similar, both on the computer and on your phone if you click on that report for them. This is a little bit more specific here. 400 Spectrum Center, 17th floor, women's restroom, handicap stall. Very, very specific as to where you need to go to find this. We have 4 different modes that the sensors will report in. Water detected, pretty basic. All right, it is closed to contact in either the sensor or the sensor wire. Silenced means that someone has come in and there is an audible alarm that you can turn off and on, change the volume to. But silenced means someone has physically walked up to that and pushed a button. You cannot silence an alarm from the portal. You have to physically go to the sensor and push the button, which is a critical aspect also of our FM global approval. So that thing is silenced, but it's not done. It's not cleared. It's not reset. It still says that there's a leak at the 17th floor women's restroom. Until that leak cleared right there means that it is no longer sensing water between the two, either on the sensor or the cable between the two feet there. That means no more water. The leak is cleared. Still not reset. Still says that it is open and active alarm until you go and manually reset that particular one. Manually reset means that you're standing at the place, standing where water used to be, where it isn't any longer, problem is solved, you can reset that. Also, each one of these 4 notifications, if you need to have a note in there because management wants it or your insurance carrier wants it, you can go in as an option, not be able to manually reset it until you put a note in our Trident system. This is what happened and this is how it was solved. So pretty powerful stuff. We do all kinds of other stuff that we won't get into today. We do fuel oil sensing and protection. We do flow metering. We do ambient and pipe temperature, pressure. We have relay options through our Trident system. But as you can see through all this says it is through Trident. So we still have that robust reporting and recording aspect of all the systems that we have. So that's it. Please reach out to your long rep. You know how smart these guys and gals are. They'll know everything you need to know about TEG. If they don't, I'll be definitely answering that phone too. So appreciate your time today. I'm going to turn it back over to Chris.
Thank you, Curtis. Really appreciate it. As Curtis said, if you have any questions or need any additional info on the detection group, please reach out to your Long sales engineer. Please join us next week when Brandon Pappas will be presenting on Friedrich and the new DOE requirements for single package vertical units. And thank you everyone for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your week. Thanks, Curtis.